Fargard 19, 1 through 10. Engram Inu attempts to kill Zarathustra, and when he fails, tempts him. Zarathustra withstands both assaults with weapons both material and spiritual. 1143. Zarathustra applies to Haramasa for revelation of the law. He is taught how the fiend may be repelled, how the creation of Mazda is to be worshipped, how the uncleanness is to be washed away, and what becomes of the soul after death. And I just like the last one where it said like 30 through 60 when it was through 59. So it's this one's through 42, and 43 starts part 3, which is 43 through 47. Engrama Inu and his host, driven to despair and fleeing and feeling themselves powerless, fall down into hell. This chapter may be entitled The Revelation and considered the framework of the Vendidad, the remainder of which should have its place between the first and third part, as the first part shows the fiend struggles to prevent the revelation, and the third shows the effects of it, the second being, as it were, an abstract of the law, an abridged Vendidad. And when they say the north, they mean from hell, the fiend of the fiends, the archfiend, the Davanam, I talked about the else one, the demon Bu Ete. The passage, how does death enter the man? There are several druges from Ahriman who come into the body and the soul of man, one of whom is a drug known as Boot. She is the forerunner of death. When the time of the end is at hand, she produces in the body of a man such an excessive heat that he falls ill. Can't sit comfortably in this chair, so. One, from the region of the north, from the regions of the north, forth rushed Engram Inu, the deadly, the De'eva of the De'evas, and thus spake the guileful one, he, the evildoer, Engra Inu, the deadly Drug, rushed down upon him, destroy the holy Zarathustra. The Drug came rushing along, the demon Bu Ete, the unseen death, the hellborn. 5. Zarathustra chanted aloud the Ahuna Va'iria. The will of the Lord is the law of holiness. The riches of Vahu Mano shall be given to him who works in this world for Mazda, and wields according to the will of Ahura the power he gave to him to relieve the poor. And he added, offer up the prayers with the good waters of the good Da'itya. Profess the law of the worshippers of Mazda. So see, the only thing being treated as God is Mazda in this, really, at least the original path. The Drug dismayed rushed away, the demon Bu Ete, the unseen death, the hellborn. And remember, like the Catholics, they tried to incorporate all the paths to so-called make it universal, which actually kind of limited it far more than expected. 7. The Drug, the Achaemenids, the Sassanians, the other, revivals periods. 7. And the Drug, the guileful one, said unto Engram Inu, O baneful Engram Inu, I see no way to kill him. So great is the glory of the holy Zarathustra. Zarathustra saw all this from within his soul the evil-doing, the Evas, and the Dravants take counsel together for my death. 11. Up started Zarathustra. Forward went Zarathustra, unshaken by the evil spirit, by the hardness of his malignant riddles, swinging stones in his hand, stones as big as a house, and when he obtained from the Maker Ahura Mazda, he, the holy Zarathustra, at what on this wide round earth, whose ends lie afar, at what dost thou swing those stones, who thou standest by the river Darega, upon the mountains, in the mansion of Pa Uru Saspa. You know, the father of Zarathustra. And some say that these stones are the Ahuna area, another attempt to account for a mythical expression, which is no longer understood. Those thunderbolts that were turned into the 9-knotted stick used in the Barashnum. And we have a fragment here where Zarathustra and Angra Mainyu, there is a fragment of a myth where Zarathustra and Angra Mainyu played respectively the parts of Oedipus and the Sphinx. You know, different cultures definitely talked about the same things in their myths. 16. Thus, Zarathustra answered, Angra Mainyu, O evildoer, Angra Mainyu, I will smite the creation of the Da'eva. I will smite the Nasu, a creature of the Da'eva. I will smite the Pa'irika, Kanatha ete, till the fiend smiter, Sa'ashyant, came to life out of the lake Kasava, from the region of the dawn, from the regions of the dawn. And I know thee is how you translate the father's name. Okay. 20. Again to him, said the guileful one, the maker of the material world. Angra Mainyu, do not destroy my creatures, O holy Zarathustra. Thou art the son of Pauru Saspa, just born of thy mother. Renounce the good law of the worshippers of Mazda, and thou shalt gain such a boon as the murderer gained, the ruler of the nations. Referring to Agis Dahaka, or Zohak, who was the legendary king, said to have ruled the world for 1,000 years. And some say is that the devil was saying, well, the ancestors worshiped me, why don't you worship me too? I was invoked by thy mother, is another way that possibly could be rendered. 24. Thus, in answer to him, said Spitama Zarathustra, no, never will I renounce the good law of the worshippers of Mazda, though my body, my life, my soul should burst. 27. Again to him said the guileful one, the maker of the evil world, Angra Mainyu, by whose word wilt thou strike? By whose word wilt thou repel? By whose weapon will the good creatures strike and repel? My creation, who am Angra Mainyu. 29. Thus in answered him said Spitama Zarathustra, the sacred mortar, the sacred cup, the Ha'ama, the words taught by Mazda. These are my weapons, my best weapons. By this word will I strike. By this word will I repel. By this weapon, the good creatures will strike and repel thee. O evildoer, engra ma'inu. To me, spenta ma'enu gave it. He gave it to me in the boundless time. To me, the Amesha Spentas, the all-ruling, the all-beneficent gave it. 35. Zarathustra chanted aloud, the Ahuna Va'eria. The holy Zarathustra said aloud, this I ask thee, teach me the truth, O Lord. So, see, he's only worshiping God, and that's, so the devil's saying, I've created this, this, and this. In the monotheist tradition, the devil doesn't create anything. The devil can persuade these things to come to his side, perhaps. I mean, at least some of them. So the idea is that the Ahuna Va'eria was revealed before the creation of the world, and consequently in the boundless time. Now, this sort of thing is talked about all scriptures. It's not that it doesn't become the most relevant for the time in which it's revealed, and that nation, however long that nation lasts, and that it doesn't refer to those events that happen way after. It's that God knew beforehand, and God's speech, but not in a co-eternal with God, like uncreated sort of sense. That doesn't. But again, as far as the conservatives, that comes into. And then there's the verse, this acts of thee, tell me truly, that sort of thing is repeated in the Gathas. As there's more on the Zoroastrian list, as you may well know. I mean, I'm trying to present what I can from the tradition. 2 compromises 37, 39, 42, 46, 50, 54, 58, 60, 63, 67, 70, 73, 76, 80, 82, 85, 89, 90, 94, 98, 102, 105, 108, 110, 114, 120, 123, 127, 129, 133, 137, and I guess 42 is also included in 137. 37. Zarathustra asked Ahura Mazda, O Ahura Mazda, most beneficent spirit, maker of the material world, thou holy one. He was sitting by he was sitting by the Daraga on the mountain, praying to Ahura Mazda. The good Bahu Mano to Asha Vahista Kshatra Va'irya and Spenta Arvaete. 39. How shall I make the world free from that drug, from the evildoer, Engra Ma'inu? How shall I drive away the direct defilement? How indirect defilement? How shall I drive the Nasu from the house of the worshippers of Mazda? How shall I cleanse the faithful man? How shall I cleanse the faithful woman? 42. Ahura Mazda answered, invoke Zarathustra, the good law of Mazda. Invoke, O Zarathustra, the Amesha Spentas, who rule over the 7 Karshvaras of the earth. Invoke, O Zarathustra, the sovereign heaven, the boundless time, and Vayu, whose action is most high, invoke, O Zarathustra, the powerful wind, made by Mazda, and Spenta Armaete, the fair daughter of Aramazda. Now, see, again, the family language, it's not literal, because all of creation is talked about that way, and all creation is talk like God ordered it into existence, and so, yeah. But make mention of these things. Make mention of these things is recall. You see these phrases in the Avestan, the Pahlavi. You see it in later traditions like Islam. They say, make mention of this. It's not that, oh, the following thing you're going to think about, the following thing you're going to talk about is, these are gods. It's like, no, that's not what it says. But in the Orientalist sort of mind, sometimes it's like everything spiritual must be, that's talked of respectively. No, that's not the same thing. But 46. Invoke, O Zarathustra, my Varvasha, who am Ahura Mazda, the greatest, the best, the fairest of all beings, the most solid, the most intelligent, the best shapen, the highest in holiness, and whose soul is the holy world. Invoke, O Zarathustra, the holy word. This creation of mine, who am Ahura Mazda. 50. Zarathustra took those words from me and said, I invoke the holy creation of Ahura Mazda. I invoke Mithra, the lord of the wide pastures, an entity armed with beautiful weapons, with the most glorious of all weapons, with the most fiend-smiting of all weapons. I make mention of the holy, tall-formed Sir Asha, who wields a club in his hand to bear upon the heads of the fiends. 54. I invoke the most glorious holy word. I invoke, I mention the sovereign heaven, the boundless time, and the you, whose action is most high. I invoke with the mighty wind made by Mazda, and Spenta, the fair daughter of Ahura Mazda. I invoke with the good. I make mention of the good law, the fiend-destroying law of Zarathustra. It's, recall this mention of it. Invokes probably the wrong word. Invoke the mention of is a phrase that people used to say. 58. Zarathustra asked Ahura Mazda, O maker of the good world, Ahura Mazda, what manner of sacrifice shall I worship? With what manner of sacrifice shall I worship and forward this creation of Ahura Mazda? 60. Ahura Mazda answered, Go, O Spitma Zarathustra, towards that tree that is beautiful, high-growing, and mighty amongst the high-growing trees, and say thou these words, Hail to thee, O good holy tree, made by Mazda, Ashem Bahu. And, the tree that the Beresma is taken from. 63. Let the faithful man cut off a twig of Beresma, long as the plowshare, thick as the barley corn. The faithful one, holding it in his left hand, should not leave off keeping his eyes upon it, whilst he is offering up the sacrifice to Ahura Mazda, and to the Meshaspentas, and to the high and beautiful golden Amas, and to Bahu Mano, and the good Rata, made by Mazda, holy and excellent. when he's offering up the high and beautiful ha'amas, the opium, ephedra, marijuana, and other plants mixture, and bahu mano, good thoughts, and the good rata, sacrificial presence. The Parsis are recommended to keep their eyes on the Barisma during the sacrifice. A man is offering the Darun. He has said all the required Avesta, but he has not looked at the Barisma. What is the rule? It would have been better if he had looked at it. However, he may proceed to the meal. 67. Zarathustra asked Ahura Mazda, O thou all-knowing Ahura Mazda, thou art never asleep, never intoxicated. Thou, Ahura Mazda, Bahu Ana, gets directly defiled. Bahu Mano gets indirectly defiled. The Evas defile him from the bodies smitten by the Evas. Let Bahu Mano be made clean. So, obviously, they're talking about the good mind quality of each of us. So, perhaps evoking the love and the dominion and the good consciousness and that sort of thing. So there's at least a dual meaning, if not that being the meaning of some of these circumstances. Bahu Mano. The bodies smitten by the demons is the dead bodies. Bahu Mano is often used as a designation of the faithful one, literally, the good-minded. This is the meaning which is given to it in this passage by the commentary, and it certainly belongs to it in the second part of it. But in the first part of the same clause, it is translated clothes, a meaning which is not unlikely in itself, as Bahu Mano, being the amashaspan of cattle, may designate, and in fact did designate, the skins of cattle and leather. On the whole, the description in the text applies to the cleansing both of the man and of the clothes, and Bahu Mano sometimes means the one and sometimes the other. 70. Ahura Mazda answered, Thou shalt take some gomez from a bull, ungelded, and such as the law requires it. Thou shalt take the man who is to be cleansed to the field made by Ahura, and the man that is to cleanse him shall draw the furrows. So the law that requires it is the so-called vara se'o. It must be of white color. The bull must be of white color. If a single hair on its body be found other than white, the animal is rejected as unfit for the purpose. Perhaps that wasn't such an absolute, a single-colored animal, but you see that sort of thing in priestly circles as they push the commandments to the limit, you could say. You see, it's not mentioned in the text that it has to be that. It probably could be any cow that's not worked, right? 73. He shall recite 100 Asham Bahu. Holiness is the best of all good. Happy the man who is holy with perfect holiness. He shall chant 200 Ahuna the area. The will of the Lord is the law of holiness. The riches of Bahu Mano shall be given to him who works in this world for Mazda and wields according to the will of Ahura the power he gave to him to relieve the poor. He shall wash Ohu Mano, 4 times, with the Gomez from the ox, and twice with the water made by Mazda. 76. Thus, Ohu Mano shall be made clean, and clean shall be the man. Then he shall take up Bahu Mano with his left arm and his right, with his right arm and his left. And thou shalt lay down Bahu Mano out of the mighty structure of the bright heavens, by the light of the stars made by the entities, until 9 nights have passed away. And 9 nights. The clothes of the unclean shall be exposed to the air for 9 nights, all the time while he is himself confined in the Armestgah. The rules for the cleansing of the clothes that have been worn by the dead himself are different. 80. When 9 nights have passed away, thou shalt bring libations unto the fire. Thou shalt bring hard wood into the fire. Thou shalt bring the incense of Ohu Anna into the fire, and thou shalt perfume Ohu Mano therefrom. So the cleansing of the man ought to be washed 6 times with the Gomez and 3 times with the water. So there's the reference of twice with the water made by Mazda. Well, perhaps the ritual wasn't so set. So there's a place for the cleansing, and there's the things that need to be cleansed and all that sort of stuff. 82. Thus shall Ohu Mano become clean, and thus shall the man be clean. He shall take up Ohu Mano with the right arm and the left, with the left arm and the right. And Ohu Mano shall say aloud, Glory be to Ahura Mazda, glory be to Meshaspentas, glory be to all the other holy beings. 85. Zarathustra asked Ahura Mazda, O thou all-knowing Ahura Mazda, should I urge upon the godly man? Should I urge upon the godly woman? Should I urge upon the wicked, the Eva worshipper, who lives in sin, that they have once to leave behind them the earth made by Ahura, that they have to leave the water that runs, the corn that grows, and all the rest of the wealth? Ahura Mazda answered, Thou shouldest, O holy Zarathustra. 89. O maker of the material world, thou holy one, where are the rewards given? Where does the rewarding take place? Where is the rewarding fulfilled? Whereto do men come to take the reward that, in their life, in the material world, they have won for their souls? 90. Ahura Mazda answered, When a man is dead, when his time is over, then the hellish, evil-doing, the Evas, assail him. And when the 3rd night is gone, when the dawn appears and brightens up, and makes Ithra, the entity with beautiful weapons, reaching the all-happy mountains, and the sun is rising. 94. Then the fiend named Vizaresha carries off in bonds the souls of the wicked, the Eva worshippers, who live in sin. The soul enters the way made by time and opens both to the wicked and to the righteous. At the head of the Kinvad bridge, the holy bridge made by Mazda, they ask for their spirits and souls the reward for the worldly goods which they gave away here below. The Kinvad bridge extends over hell and leads to paradise. For the souls of the righteous, it widens to the length of 9 javelins. For the souls of the wicked, it narrows to a thread, and they fall down into hell. Islam also talks of the bridge and same sort of language, the pleasant and quick. For others, unpleasant and slow, and yet, the even point of being cut in half, that sort of thing. The They fall down into hell. This bridge is known in many mythologies. It's the Sirat bridge of the Muslimun. Not long ago, they sang in Yorkshire of the bridge o' dread, not brighter than a thread. And even nowadays, the peasant in Evra tells of a little board which was put by Saint Jean de Archange between the earth and paradise. The soul of the dead on the fourth day finds itself in the presence of a maid of divine beauty, or fiendish ugliness, according to as he himself was good or bad, and she leads him into the heaven or hell. This maid is his own consciousness. There's dogs. They're said to keep the Kinvad Bridge. And we have the good and the wicked. We have a heavenly mountain mentioned in some of the verses to follow. The sun rises on that. The doorkeeper paradise. There's a, sort of a Saint Pierre Zoroastrian version, I guess. 98. Then comes the well-shapen, strong, and tall-formed maid with the dogs at her sides. One who can distinguish, one who is graceful, one who does what she wants, and is of high understanding. She makes the soul of the righteous one go up above the Hara Berazata, above the Kinvad bridge. She places it in the presence of the heavenly entities themselves. 102. Uprises Vahu Mano from his golden seat. Vahu Mano exclaims, "How hast thou come to us, thou Holy One, from that decaying world into this undecaying one?" 105. Gladly pass the souls of the righteous to the golden seat of Ahura Mazda, to the golden seat of the Amesha Spentas, to the Garonmanem. They should have not had the same word divided into 2 pages. The abode of Ahura Mazda, the abode of the Amesha Spentas, the abode of all the other holy beings. The Garothman of the Parsis, literally the house of songs. 108. As to the godly man that has been cleansed, the wicked evil-doing, the Evas, trembling in the perfume of his soul after death, as a sheep does, on which a wolf is falling. These are people who perform the Barashnum. Ormazd is all perfume. Ahriman is infection and stench. The souls and followers both partake of the same qualities, and by the